This man, he stopped caring for himself. Not because he was lazy or ungrateful, but because of one mistake. You see, he had the talent. He had the support. He even had love. But somehow, he lost it all. And the worst part, he almost lost his mother. Her health failed. Her hope? Gone. Because the boy she had once carried on her back, the boy she gave everything for, had grown into a man who was now frozen. Not by choice, but by fear. And this man's name is Eli. Now, it all started 7 years ago. 7 years of dreaming. 7 years of planning. 7 years of doing nothing. His mother was in a hospital bed. His girlfriend had left. And Eli? He was still there, sitting in the same little room, staring at the same old tools, whispering the same old promise. Soon, I'll start soon. He had read every book, watched every tutorial, drawn 1,000 blueprints, but nothing ever left the page. His mother, a farmer, she had raised him alone. After his father passed when he was just 4, she sold almost everything, just so he could chase that dream. And Mira, his girlfriend, she believed in him more than he believed in himself. She bought him tools, paid for his training. She even prayed with his mother. But now, she was gone. The books gathered dust, the parts rusted in silence. And Eli, he wasted it all. People whispered behind his back, "What a waste of genius." But no one really knew the truth. You want to understand why Eli never started? Why someone with so much did so little? Then we have to go back, way back, before the fear, before the silence, back to where it all began. He was just 9 years old, a little boy with warm brown skin, short, tightly curled hair, and big, curious eyes. And in his tiny hands, a toy car, not bought, but built. Bottle caps for wheels, bent aluminum for the body, old batteries, wires, anything he could find. He placed it on the ground, took a breath, and gave it power. It rolled forward. 3 steps. Then it stopped, broke apart, and just like that, and his dream shattered with it. His friends laughed. His teacher just sighed and walked away. And Eli? He cried. That night, he sat in the dark, knees tucked to his chest, his small hands clenched. His mother knelt beside him, wiped his tears, and whispered, "The people who fix the world always break something first." That was the night it happened. The very first spark, the moment Eli dared to believe that maybe, just maybe, he was meant for something more. By the time Eli turned 13, he couldn't stop thinking about machines. He'd read about them, sketched them, dreamed of building one that actually worked. So he tried again. Using scraps onto old phone batteries, leftover wire, plastic from a broken radio, he built a small homemade fan. It was crude, messy, but it spun for 5 seconds. Then it sparked. Then it burned. The pain in his hand made him scream. The circuit exploded, black smoke filled the air, and a neighbor's mat caught fire. His mother rushed out, put it out with her bare hands. She paid the neighbor from their savings, and the whispers began. "That boy again? The one who breaks things? Careful. He might burn the whole place down." Eli didn't fight back. He just sat there, holding his bandaged hand, watching his invention, now melted wire and ash. That night, he didn't cry, but he didn't smile either. In secondary school, Eli topped physics. His teachers called him brilliant. His classmates called him the brain. But when the science fair came, he didn't participate. Not because he couldn't, not because he wasn't ready, but because deep inside, he remembered the burns, the laughter, the shame, the whispers from neighbors, the sting in his mother's eyes when she covered for him. So he told himself, "Next time, when I'm fully ready," but that next time became never. He buried himself in books, reading theories, watching videos, sketching blueprints, telling everyone, "I'm working on something big." But the truth? He was scared to try again. Scared to fail again, scared to see the people he loved hurt again. And so the genius who could have changed everything became the boy who started nothing. Eli wanted to be a robotics engineer, not just for fame, not for money, but to help people who couldn't help themselves. He dreamed of creating robotic arms for children who couldn't lift a spoon. He imagined machines that could write for elders, feed those who had no strength left. He saw the problems, he had the ideas. But instead of building, he added them to the list. A growing graveyard of dreams that never saw the light of day. He filled notebooks, drew diagrams, watched videos of others doing what he was too afraid to try. The world waited, and so did Eli. But deep down, he wasn't lazy. He wasn't careless. He was just scared. Scared that he might fail again, that another experiment would explode, that another neighbor would call him dangerous. And so, day after day, he sat with his blueprints and built nothing. It was raining that day. Not the kind of rain that rushes, but the kind that lingers, soft, quiet, like a question waiting for an answer. Eli had gone to a dusty second-hand bookshop. Still searching for answers he was too afraid to build. He asked for books on robotics, schematics, manuals, and that's when she spoke. "You talk to machines more than people, don't you?" Her name was Mira. Confident, curious. The kind of girl who saw through blueprints, straight into your heart. She wasn't just interested in his inventions. She was interested in him. A few weeks later, she followed him home. His room, cluttered but brilliant. Wires, sketches, prototypes half-built. And she smiled. "You're not just smart, Eli. You're dangerous smart." She cooked for him, bought him tools, even paid for a local seminar. She believed. She waited. She hoped. But Eli still doubted himself. He missed the training, made excuses, buried himself in theory. Because deep down he thought, what if I try again and fail again? And just like that, his greatest chance was beginning to slip away. Mira waited. Through the silence, through the excuses, through the days he said, "Next week, I just need more time." She cleaned his room, cooked for him, prayed with his mother. But Eli never showed up to the training she paid for. He never built the thing she believed he could. Until one day, she stood at the door, eyes tired, heart heavy. And she said, "You're ambitious, Eli, but ambition without action is just noise." She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just turned and left. Eli didn't chase her. He watched her go and dove deeper into theory. That night he searched. Can love distract geniuses? What to do when people give up on you? But then, his world cracked again. His mother collapsed. It all fell apart. Hospital bills piled high. The food ran out. And hope quietly disappeared. Eli sat on the floor of his silent room, trembling, whispering questions into a dim laptop screen. How do you survive when you failed everyone? What do you do when years slip by and you have nothing to show? He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept. And yet he stayed there frozen in shame. Then came the call. The hospital nurse's voice cracked through the phone. "She's fading, Eli." Slowly, he dropped everything, rushed through rain and red lights. And when he got to her side, she was pale, still, but her eyes were open. He held her hand, weak and trembling, and whispered, "Please be alive for me." And through a fragile breath, she replied, "Then do something so I can live for you." That moment broke something deep inside him. And the very next day, he opened the dusty box, the one filled with forgotten parts, broken wires, and dreams he never dared to chase. For the first time in years, he began to build. It was ugly. Dead batteries, scrap motors, broken sensors. It wasn't the kind of thing you'd show the world. But Eli had no choice. Because if this one didn't work, it was over. No more parts. No more time. No more chances. And maybe his mother wouldn't survive the week. The hospital had called. The nurse said, "She's fading, Eli." Slowly, his hands shook. His eyes burned. But he kept going. He rebuilt it, then again, and again. Failure, failure, failure. Then finally, something moved. A flicker, a hum, a spark of life in the thing he built. And for the first time in years, Eli wasn't just thinking, he was doing. Across town, in a quiet, luxurious home lit only by a television screen, an older man sat in a motorized wheelchair. Deep brown skin, a once powerful body, now still. One arm missing, one leg barely functional. He used to run companies, travel continents, shake entire boardrooms with his voice. Now, he couldn't even go to the toilet without help. He stared at the screen, silent. Beside him, his wife stood, still in her robes, still beautiful, but tired, worn down by the weight of routine. She had done everything for years. Dress him, lift him, feed him, wait. And for years, nothing changed. Until now, the robotic arm on the screen moved, clumsy but steady. It lifted a spoon, fed someone. The man leaned forward, slowly, breath held. "Look," he whispered. And this time, she did. Her eyes, tired for so long, widened. The spoon moved again. Hope flickered between them. For the first time in years, the man reached for his phone. His voice was low, steady. "Find me this boy." Days later, the package arrived. No media, no fanfare, just a brown box, holding a future. His assistant helped him into position. The robotic arm clicked into place, delicate, functional. The man glanced at the kitchen table. A slice of bread sat on a plate, untouched for years. His wife leaned against the doorway. She didn't speak, just watched. He stared at the robotic fingers. The hum was faint, the air frozen. He reached. The fingers moved, stiff at first, then smoother. He gripped the bread, lifted it, held it in the air. And for the first time in 8 years, he fed himself. No nurse, no assistance, no shaking hand holding his, just him and a device created by a boy who had nothing but broken dreams and dusty tools. The wife stepped closer, slowly. Her hand covered her mouth. She didn't speak. But her eyes once said everything. And the man? He turned to his assistant and said, "Call him again. This isn't just a device, this is a revolution." News traveled faster than Eli ever imagined. One video became 100 reposts. One man feeding himself became a symbol. A whisper turned into a wave. Investors started calling. Hospitals reached out. Emails poured in. "We saw your work. We want to support it. How soon can you scale?" But Eli, he stayed in the same room, stunned. Not out of fear this time, but because it was finally real. His mother, now recovering, held his hand and said, "You did it, Eli. You really did it." She smiled. Not the tired smile of hope, but the full smile of pride. Eli stood in front of his childhood table, once cluttered with failure, now transformed. Blueprints were framed, tools replaced with prototypes, dust gone. He launched a company, not in a skyscraper, but in a community space filled with other dreamers like him. He hired young minds, kids who once feared to begin just like he did. Together they built more. Smart wheelchairs, riding devices for paralyzed children, feeding tools with adaptive sensors, voice-controlled robotics. Hospitals ordered, foundations donated, and governments listened. But before the fame, there was one more thing Eli needed to fix. He traveled back, not as a genius, but as a man who had finally changed. He stood at her door and said, "Ever since you left and my mom collapsed, I saw myself for the first time. You were right, and I'm sorry." Mira looked at him, stunned, overwhelmed, and tears welled in her eyes. "I always believed you could," she whispered. "I just stopped waiting." They embraced. Months later, they married. And this time, he didn't disappear. You've waited, you've researched, planned, overthought, told yourself, "Next time. When I'm ready, maybe later." But here's the truth. No one's coming to give you permission. No perfect moment is waiting. And fear? It never fully goes away. Eli had the same doubts, the same delay, the same fear of failure. But one decision, just one, changed everything. So maybe it's your turn. Build the thing, start the idea, finish the project, let the world catch up later. Because the version of you the world needs is on the other side of action. And if this story stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Let it be the moment you began. Like, subscribe. And when you're feeling lost or low, depressed or lonely, come here and hear more stories. You're not alone.